Welcome to Paranormal Nightfall.
Central Park apparition. Central Park, by day, is filled with families, joggers, and tourists. But by night, a different atmosphere takes over. The rustling leaves, the nocturnal animals, and the dim lights give it a mysterious aura. And for the Shadow Seekers team, this mystery was about to unfold. I spent the day at the New York Public Library, combing through archives of newspapers from the 1940s. I was determined to find the origins of the apparition haunting Central Park. And after hours of searching, I finally found it, a faded newspaper article from 1947. Tragedy strikes Central Park, the headline read. A detailed account followed of a woman named Lorraine who was set to meet her fiancé, Thomas, one fateful night at the very spot where the current hauntings were happening. Before they could meet, Lorraine saw police car lights flashing at a distance. Drawn towards the lights, she found Thomas's lifeless body. He'd been attacked and fatally wounded by a mugger. The newspaper article had a photograph of Lorraine, a black and white picture showing a woman with a vintage hairstyle, looking pensive. It was undoubtedly the same apparition they saw in the park. I hurriedly printed the article and sent it to Jake and Chris. Got something? I texted. Later that day, we met up at Jake's hotel room to discuss my findings. Chris had also discovered that Lorraine, heartbroken from her loss, had taken her life a few days later. It was believed she had never overcome the tragedy of losing Thomas. That evening we set out for the park to do our preliminary investigation. As we sat on a park bench, fog twirled around us forming the outline of a woman. Our EVP recorder then caught something. A wispy voice saying, "Thomas, where are you?" "That's got to be her," Jake said in surprise. "She's searching for him, waiting for their rendezvous that never took place." I nodded. This spirit is trapped between two worlds. She can't find peace, still waiting for a meeting that will never happen. We need to help her. That following evening, armed with our other equipment and newfound knowledge, we headed back to Central Park. This time, we intended to make contact with Lorraine and guide her to the light, assuring her that Thomas was waiting for her on the other side. The moon cast a soft luminescent glow over Central Park, punctuating the looming shadows with its silver light. The distant hum of New York City served as a muted backdrop to the expectant silence of the night. As we set up our equipment near the site where the apparition had been seen, the calm was palpable, but there was also an undeniable undercurrent of tension. Having become more attuned to the energy since the last encounter, I felt a weight in the air. "She's here," I whispered, my eyes darting around. Our EMF meters began to spike erratically, confirming my intuition. In the distance, among the trees, the faint outline of a woman began to emerge. It was Lorraine. The once soft, ethereal figure now appeared more pronounced and substantial. Her form glided towards us, the mournful expression etched onto her face ever clearer. The same forlorn gaze from the newspaper image pierced through the night. Chris pressed the play button on the EVP recorder. The static was interrupted by a soft, melancholic voice that echoed through the speakers. "Thomas? Is it you? Where are you?" The heart-wrenching moans followed, filling the still air. It felt as if Lorraine's pain transcended time and space, touching the very soul of every living being in proximity. Jake took a step forward, trying to mask the shiver running down his spine. "Lorraine," he began, his voice gentle yet firm. "We know about you and Thomas. We understand the pain you've been through." I joined in. "Thomas has moved on, Lorraine. He's waiting for you. But you need to move beyond this world to be with him." Lorraine's apparition turned to face him directly. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. I felt as if she was looking into a deep abyss of sorrow. But he stood his ground, holding Lorraine's gaze. "You need to let go of this world, Lorraine. Find your peace. Find Thomas." The atmosphere grew heavier. Chris started to chant softly, a ritual he'd learned to help guide lost spirits. As he did, the surroundings seemed to shimmer, the boundaries between the physical and spiritual realm blurring momentarily. Lorraine's figure wavered, her expression changing from one of sorrow to understanding. A soft smile, the first sign of happiness they'd seen from her, graced her lips as she began to dissolve slowly into the ether. The weight in the air lifted, replaced by a sense of peace and release. We exchanged glances, realizing we had just witnessed a profound moment. The transition of a tormented spirit finally finding her path to peace. The night's chilling adventure was over. We took solace in the knowledge that we'd brought solace to a grieving soul.
If you like this story, press like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, or else.